Okay, so today I would like to do a video, tonight I would like to do a video about this. This is a book by Phill. He was the engineer, the sound engineer. When you record some music, you need someone like that to take care of the sound. Obviously, he is a very good one, and he worked with Tok Tok and Mark Hollis on Spirit of Eden, on Laughing Stock, and on partly on the Mark Hollis album. I'm not going to do a review of this book first because I didn't read everything. I just read the Tok Tok part, the Mark Hollis part, and the Orang, Paul Webb and Lee Harris group band part. So I can't tell you this book exactly what it is. I can only tell you about what I read so far. But I will probably come back to it. So far, just to tell you quickly, I really liked what I read because it's very precise. First, he gives you all the instruments, gears, microphone, the SSL thing, to record. He gives you absolutely everything which has been used, so it's very interesting. At least for me, it's very interesting to read, and I don't know for you, but I think that any musician can relate. I'm not a musician, but I used to sing a little, so I know what they are talking about most of the time, even if I didn't try all the tools and gears and instruments that they are using here. Of course, I didn't use everything, but I know of them anyway. So that is interesting. Then he gives you all the dates, how the things happened, the delays, how much time it took, how difficult it was to do, the difficulties, the technical problems. He speaks a little of the psychological aspect also, but not so much. Just enough for us to understand, but he's not indiscreet. I mean, he doesn't speak about private things or things like that. What I like, because it's not a book made to make money and to tell bad stories about artists. What I read so far, it's more to explain how the things happen, simply from his point of view. Of course, probably that the other people in this story have another point of view, but um, obviously he knows his job. He seems very professional. When I see the artist with whom he worked, wow, you know. I think he's completely entitled to write a book like that. But tonight I'm not going to make a review of the whole book, as I was saying. I'm going to talk about something that I read in it, which first made me laugh because it was almost funny, it was almost like a joke. And then I realized it was not a joke. It's true, it was true. And then the next day I started being really upset about that. Mad, I can say mad. Probably because it's about the records company, and when I was young I had very bad experiences with the record companies, even though I knew some people there. I've spent years, my whole life almost, thinking that it was my fault, that probably I was not professional enough then, that probably I was not um, motivated enough to do this job, and maybe that I was not ready to compromise when maybe I should have, because I had everything to prove. And all these years I thought it was my fault if I never became a singer, that I didn't do what I should have done. But now, by reading what I read here, I'm thinking that it was not only my fault. That these people in the records company, and I'm not talking about EMI, because EMI already did a very bad thing, but I'm not going to talk about that, it's a little too long. But then Polydor, Polydor, so in England, of course, I didn't go to see Polydor in England when I was young. I went to see Polydor in Paris. Actually in Boulogne-Billancourt, more exactly. But I went to Trema, and they were depending on Polydor also for a few artists, I think. So whatever the country is, it seems that these people, there is something really wrong with them. And I've been thinking about that today, and I'm wondering if these people who work in the office, who are not artists themselves, well, now they are not artists themselves. Before, there were some artistic director. Sometimes they were artists, but sometimes maybe they failed and they started working in an office. And I'm wondering if there is not a form of jealousy towards the artists, because I can't believe that some people are stupid enough to behave like that. Okay, so I don't want you to think that I'm inventing something. I'm going to read exactly what Phill Brown is saying in the book, and then I will tell you my own story, and you will see that there is a link between the two. You know, the craziness and the stupidity is about at the same level. So I'm going to read. June was a difficult month for Mark and me, with one piece of bad news following another. First, we were informed that the album could not come out under the name Mark Hollis, but had to be a Tok Tok album instead. Maybe it was a matter of contract or something like that. Mark felt that with Tim Fries-Green and Lee Harris no longer involved, it wouldn't be right to release the album under the name Tok Tok, of course. Then we were told that Lucian Grange at Polydor Records was not interested in releasing the album at all. The whole thing was so crazy that Mark and I ended up having a good laugh about the situation. I'm not sure I would have laughed. Maybe 5 minutes, but not more. Well, if Polydor doesn't release it, said Mark, then it hardly matters what it's called or what the artist is. So that's funny. It's funny that Mark managed to have such a sense of humor in such a situation. By July, the news briefly changed again. Although Polydor were not interested in releasing the album, both A&M and Mo Wax Records were. We felt that there would be a little trouble in changing labels, since Polydor, A&M and Mo Wax were all owned by Polygram. Yes, Polygram basically bought. I'm wondering if Polygram was not initially Philips or something like that. It's a huge company. They own everything almost. Mark went for a meeting and rang me soon after. "What do you make of this?" he said. "I have just had a meeting with Polydor, and they told me that Laughingstock was deleted soon after release. They don't want this second album, but they have asked me to sign for a third album." So when I read that, I was wondering if I understood well what was written, because they removed Laughingstock. They don't want to release the Mark-Hollis album, but they want Mark-Hollis to sign for a third album. There is a small problem here, I think. These people are insane. Silence. I was stunned with the news about Laughingstock. "I don't understand," I said. "Maybe it's some corporate plan to sign up artists and then silence them." The worst is that happened very often in France. "I hope you told them to fuck off." Yeah, like I'm likely to sign to someone who's saying the first album's crap, the second album's crap, but please sign to us for a third. Still, the A&M guys are keen, said Mark, and they also reissue Laughingstock. "It'll be great to be with someone who actually wants the albums." "Well, it would be great if one could buy Laughingstock. I can't believe it's been deleted within 3 months of release. What a bunch of cunts." That's the least we can say. Unfortunately, our excitement was short-lived. 2 weeks later, Polydor allegedly told Keith that they would neither release the new album nor give it back to Mark so that he could release it with another label. Mark and I discussed what had happened, but we found it hard to fathom the motives of the record company. Was the deleting of Laughingstock some kind of signal to Mark that he should have towed the line and made his new album commercial? If so, the ploy had failed, as Mark did not discover that Laughingstock had been deleted until he had finished the new album. They didn't tell Mark-Hollis that Laughingstock was deleted. While working with Rollo and the singer Dido in August, I gleaned even more information about Polydor's or their managing director attitude. During one of the sessions, Rollo related the following. "A guy in our office had a meeting at Polydor last week with the managing director, Lucian Grange." He's really stupid, this guy. That's what I'm saying, he's not saying that. "Our guy was played a track of the new Tok Tok album and asked what he thought of it. "Yeah, I like it," he said. "It's really good." What? Really good?" said Lucian. "Yeah, really good. I think it sounds great." Then Lucian asked him, "It's worth $1 million?" My doubts about the critical faculties of Polydor and of record companies in general were reinforced when Mark told me what had happened when the Tok Tok album Color of Spring was finished in 1985. Imai didn't like the album. Imai didn't like the album and were reluctant to release it. You imagine? They almost didn't release The Color of Spring. These people are really, really stupid. Okay. It was not commercial according to the record company. They don't know their job, seriously. And there were no singles. Oh yeah, there were no singles. I think that there is at least 4 or 5 singles in the Color of Spring. Are they crazy or what? No less than 5 hit singles were, exactly what he says. no less than 5 hit singles were taken from the album, which went on to sell over 2 million copies. After this massive success, nothing that Tok Tok produced seemed able to please their record companies, who were incapable of seeing any potential in anything other than the color of spring part 2. So they didn't like it, but then they wanted another one. They are really stupid. The fact that the original Color of Spring album had itself been groundbreaking and innovative was forgotten or ignored. The bottom line was that it had sold 2 million units. All you had to do to sell another 2 million units was to make another record just like it. At the beginning of November, we were finally informed that the new Tok Tok Marcolis album would be released in January 1998. It was released under the name Marcolis. So, I'm not going to continue because I told you the main thing. You imagine, because of this Lucian guy, stupid guy, in this Bolender company, this has been removed. The sales have been cancelled. They removed it. And this was almost never released. When I realized that we could have never listened to that, I started feeling very, very, very angry. I'm very angry because did they listen to that? Did they listen to that? Did they hear the music in it? Didn't they see the quality of it? And this, it seemed that at the record company, because the name is Laughingstock, they thought that Marcolis was making fun of the company by calling the CD Laughingstock. Did they listen to the album? Do you think that an artist would make a whole album like this, and we'll name it Laughingstock, just to make fun of the record company? These people are paranoid, stupid, morons, unprofessional. They don't know what they are doing. I don't know why they are paid for what they are doing. It's criminal. When I think that we almost didn't have that, it makes me really, really mad. Did they listen to that? Why did they sign him if they didn't want to support him? They listened to Spirit of Eden. They knew how it was. So when they signed him, they knew what it was about. Can they trust him a little? He knows better than them what he's supposed to do, you know? And who decide what is commercial and or not? You know, of course, if you put some music every day on the radio, it's going to become commercial. I can tell you, if you put that every day on the radio, I can tell you it will become commercial. Because even if people don't like it at the beginning, they will get used to it, and finally they will buy it. It's just a matter of decision. This made me really mad, and suddenly it reminded me my own story. Even if, of course, I'm not at this level, I'm not comparing myself to Marcolis at all. But in the stupidity of the record companies, I think that for Marcolis they are more stupid, but for me it was not so bad in the stupidity either. Okay, so for me, my experience with the record companies lasted several years, but for my own music, I would say it was around 1985, 6, 7. I can't remember exactly what year it was, probably 1986 or 7, something like that. I went to see a guy. I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you his name because he died. He committed suicide. So I will just give you his first name. It was Bertrand. He knew a little my family, so I got an appointment with him, which was not easy because he was a very busy guy. He was the manager of a French singer named Mylène Farmer, who is still very famous. She's very famous, and he was the manager of this singer. And I came with my demos, you know. I was singing, and at that time it was not my husband yet, it was my boyfriend, was making the music, and I was writing the lyrics, sometimes the melodies, and I was singing on the songs. So I went to see Bertrand there at Tréma. Tréma, it's a publisher, but for the distribution they were depending on Bolender, obviously. But you know, then we couldn't produce really ourselves the music, because now any young people can do it at home, and it's just the distribution which is needed. And even now you can upload on internet some music, so you even don't need a distributor anymore. But then we didn't have all that, so we could make small demos, but it couldn't be a finished product. It was not good enough. We really needed a producer to pay for the studio, and then we needed a distributor, of course. So I went to see Bertrand, and first he was talking with Mylène Farmer on the phone during like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and I could hear everything he was saying to her, and it was rather private, so it was kind of a little uncomfortable for me. And then he listened to my music, barely, honestly barely. And he told me, you know what, I'm interested in producing you, but you must change your composer. It's you must work with someone else, because I manage Mylène Farmer, and I want something like that, like her. So what I was showing had nothing to do with Mylène Farmer, so I didn't know why he absolutely wanted me to become a Mylène Farmer #2, you know. So I told him, I'm sorry, but I'm in a relationship with the composer, so I don't want to change of composer. I came here to sell my product, and my product is with my composer. And he answered, okay, so what you want is to cook steaks for your boyfriend, so continue like that, and in a few years you will be still cooking steaks for your boyfriend, and you won't be a singer. And you know what I answered him? I told him, you know what? I like cooking steaks for my boyfriend. I don't mind doing that. And I think that we can be a singer and also cook steaks for the boyfriend. Anyway, so I stood up, ready to leave. He stood up, he came to open the door to me, and he looked at my ass. I must say that this guy was gay, so I don't know why he looked at my ass, maybe to make a comparison with Mylène Farmer, maybe. So he looked at my ass. I don't know if he liked it. Obviously he didn't want to deal with another composer. He had his own composers who were working for him. He didn't understand that I was coming with a product that I liked. I believed in this product. Actually, Bertrand was the last person that I saw, that I went to meet for myself. Then I went in a records company to listen other products made by other people. But for myself, Bertrand was the last one. Later, obviously, Mylène Farmer didn't want to work with him anymore, and he was very upset about that, and I think that I understood that he killed himself. I don't know if it's because of that, but this guy was a little extreme in his way of working. I think he was doing the job for himself, not for the love of the music. I think that's... Anyway, Mylène Farmer was something very commercial, and I would have never done this kind of career, so obviously it was not the manager or the producer for me. The other person that I saw, so that was at the Bolender offices. It was in Boulogne-Billancourt. It's a suburb very close to Paris. It's almost a part of Paris, and the office was there. And I went to see this guy. So this guy is still alive, and I knew him before because he was writing songs for a lot of artists, including for my mother. He wrote a lot of music for Johnny Hallyday, Sylvie Vartan, and many others. I'm not going to give you his name because I don't want to be sued by him. And you know, I like this guy. When he was coming at home when I was a child, he was really nice. He was a composer, he was a nice guy, but then he started working a little more like a true professional, and obviously I don't know why. He had an office in Polydor office. I don't know what was the deal exactly. Anyway, his name, I'm going to give you a false name. I'm going to give you the name John Fox. That is not his real name. Anyway, John Fox. So I met him at his office at Polydor, and of course I make him listen to my music again, and he told me, oh, do you know the song Une femme libérée? So of course I knew this song because it was very famous then, it was a hit. It had nothing to do with what I was doing, nothing to do at all. It was a song like Ne la laisse pas tomber, elle est si fragile, être une femme libérée, tu sais, c'est pas si facile. It's a song which had nothing to do with my music, nothing. He told me, if you bring me something like that, I sign you. But I told him, but it has already been done. Yes, but I want something like that. He was a composer himself. Why didn't he compose something like that? He told me, if you bring me number 2 Femme Libérée, I sign you. And I thought, really, even when they are composer, even when they are in music, even when they know what the deal is, they behave stupid. So of course I said goodbye. Everything was nice and polite, but I never came back. We never tried to do something like that. It was not the purpose of my music. It had nothing to do with my music, with my lyrics. We had a completely another style. I can't say what style we had, but it was something else. It was us, So after the Bertrand meeting at Trema, I started thinking, you know what? Yes, I want to cook steaks for my boyfriend. I want to take care of my kids. I want to have a life. I don't want to be in this craziness. And it's about the period when I decided that this job was not for me. Probably if I had insisted more, I would have finally signed somewhere. It was really hard then. But it was not impossible. I could have done something, but I didn't insist. I thought that I was not made for that. Also, I went on stage several times, not in concert, but for parties. I was asked to sing my songs, and also very often I was asked to sing Isabelle Adjani's songs written by Serge Gainsbourg. And as I have a voice a little similar to Isabelle Adjani, I could easily sing her songs, and people loved that. But I was so uncomfortable on stage with everybody watching me. It was something that I really couldn't handle. It's not the same as doing videos on YouTube, you know. Here I'm alone, nobody's watching me except my cat. It's much easier. But don't put me on a stage. It's wow. It was making me sick. So I thought, I'm not made to do such a job. And I never regretted, really, because I love music, I listen to music, I sing all the time, I sing for myself, I'm very happy like that, and I paint, so it was not like if I had nothing else. I was painting also, so I managed better to do a living in the, not as an artist, but in home decor and things like that. I managed to do something with my art. All that to say that now I'm wondering if I'm starting to understand why Hollis retired for this business, from the music business, because he didn't like this craziness, I suppose. And you imagine they started, speaking of recording the Hollis album in 1995, and it was released in 1998. So it was basically 3 years of work, not only recording it. Of course, the recording didn't last 3 years, but preparing the recording, then talking with the company, then you imagine all this energy during 3 years, and then what, you are told that maybe it's not going to be released. To put all these efforts for people who don't even understand what you are doing. So I kind of understand now his decision, and it was probably not only that, but now the situation is a little different, because now you can release music without having a producer, without having a company which is going to distribute your product. You can do your own music. You can upload it on internet, and people can buy it by uploading it on internet. Of course, they are not going to receive a CD, because they will have to make their own CD with the music that they have on their computer. But it's not impossible. The situation is totally different now. So I hope it will give ideas to Hollis to make it by a more artisanal, but by a very different way. Because the purpose of all this is to make music. It's not to make the business. The business is just there to support financially the music, but the purpose is the music. So we need music. We want to listen to more music. And I think we are in a new time. I think it's going to be the end of the record companies at a point. We need them less now. But I really think that now we can go above this company and do what we are supposed to do. And if people like it, good. If people don't like it, never mind. But at least we would have tried. I say we, I have no intention to make some music myself. But my son makes music, and the problem exists for him too. There is a way to do it differently now. I will probably speak again about this book later in another video. Anyway, I see you soon. As always, please comment, subscribe if you want, and like if you liked it. It's my only way to know what you think about my videos. Bye bye.